From the twisted realm of science and the darkest pits of reason comes chilling tales of godlessness. Bear witness to the unfathomable terror that is the Good Atheist.
It's an introduction to a podcast. What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
I need to incorporate a lot of information in very little time. You're just like, hi, okay, let's go for the show. No.
I'm just trying to mix it up.
Identity, please. You can mix it up anytime in the middle and...
Okay, well, explain it to me this way.
But not the beginning.
For every single fucking show, you say, hi, my name is Jacob Forte. What exactly do you want me to say other than, and I'm Ryan Harkness?
But I say the same thing on the other show. I just say I'm Jacob Forte. I don't have a problem with the backseat driving. You, on the other hand, are a backseat fucking podcaster. You need to get off your high horse, sir.
I'm just saying freshen it up a little bit.
I say shut your mouth. I say shut your filthy mouth. That's what I say to you.
It's a good start to a radio show, I think.
It? It's peaceful. It's peaceful. Let's talk about peace. I want to talk to you about Greenpeace.
Yeah, because actually I think one of the reasons you're in such a jolly mood is Greenpeace just dropped by, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They knocked at my door and they tried their little spiel. And at first I was kind of looking at these two guys, and I remember those kinds of douchebags who used to play the guitar at parties and all those other fucking assholes.
The more popular kids, they were called.
Yeah, I hated them. They got laid. So, in my mind at the time, again, I'm unsuccessful with the ladies, and I have a logical thought. I'm like, let me embark in this Greenpeace thing. Fucking perfect way to meet the ladies, because I'm sure that's what a lot of guys do. Mm-hmm. Even though they fucking hide it and pretend that it's some kind of noble activity. But you really, at the end of the day, you're like, what, are you going to save one bear? Shut your mouth. You're there for the ladies, bitch.
I just love how you're so adamant about that none of these guys could be in it for true love of nature.
I'll tell you why I really don't feel that that's what the organization is about. Because when I went there, I remember the orientation. Like, they sit you down and they make you watch all these fucking movies, and it's some pretty fucking powerful propaganda stuff. Guys jumping off water towers with like Greenpeace parachutes and trying to stop whalers, and it's like there's a lot of action in these, and then the movie just stops. And then they just sort of like start talking. They say, well, we just want to let you know that that's not really representative of what we do. So I just asked the very basic question, then why the fuck did you show it? They were not amused. But, okay, let's move beyond that. It's also kind of like the mandate that they have in particular. Because I went there and I was under the impression, okay, here's an organization, they're environmentalists, they would like to probably get input on what can be done and what are some of the problems in Quebec. Like, I would like to provide my input on certain things, because I'm not a dummy. I don't come into there not knowing anything. So I wanted to sort of like make some suggestions of what some other places had been doing and what their focus had been on. And my whole thing at the time when I went is that we need to focus really on this this whole global warming thing, because this was way back in 2005, 2006, and I'm there. And I'm like, let's fucking talk about global warming. That's the big fucking conversation. I had just finished. I used to be on the skepticism of global warming bandwagon. I shit you not. I shit you fucking not. And it wasn't until I started doing a lot more research, because even though I'll take a position on something, you know me, curiosity takes over, and then all of a sudden I switch sides if I'm wrong. And on this issue, I was fucking deadly wrong. So at that point, I was like, well, we need to focus on this issue, and I think Montreal is a great place to tackle that issue. We can find people locally here that want to work on solutions to cut down our greenhouse emissions, and Montrealers would love that shit, love it. The entire time that I'm there, they're like, well, we want to do stuff on lumber. And I'm thinking, nobody in Montreal gives a shit about lumber. It's not a fucking issue that we see. We see issues around us. What is a big issue? Smog. That is the issue that you're going to get people attracted to. I guess I had kind of like a very simple idea. But my whole thing was, like their attitude was, well, this is not a democratic process. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, isn't that a little bit weird? This is an organization that sort of like prides itself on saying, well, we try to help the world. But how are you structured? What are your mandates? Hold on a second. Are you saying that even though I participate, I am just a fucking foot soldier in this? That's a fucking bullshit right there. I want no part of an organization where I have foot soldier duties. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. It's like you don't take input from individuals. I mean, I went over there with some fucking research. I didn't go over there with a piece of paper. I was saying, like, here's some research. Let's get into this. You know, I wanted to come in and fucking show some excitement to this whole thing, see how people are going to go with it. And they just seemed like they were just... I had just presented them with a crazy plan. They were like, what's going on, bro? They were not ready for it.
I imagine they must have thought you were quite a character.
They never called me back. Never.
No,
they didn't call me back.
So that was your Greenpeace adventure.
Well, actually, no. There was another part to that adventure. It turns out that there was a girl that I had met there, and I was actually explaining some of my things, and she agreed with me. So we left there, and we kept on talking about it, and she was smart and attractive, and we're in the metro, and we're talking. All of a sudden, she realized that she needs to go, jumps out the station, and all of a sudden, she's gone, buddy. She's fucking gone.
Sounds kind of like an escape.
No, it was like one of those, oh shit, that's my metro station. She walks out and she turns around and she suddenly realizes that we didn't have any communication exchange, and it was just like a bye, you know, kind of like one of those, see you around. And I figured, well, you know, she'll be participating in other Greenpeace events and I'll see her again. And no, I was kicked out.
That's hilarious. So your ploy to meet chicks
worked,
but failed because
I was an environmentalist.
Yep.
So now you see what I don't like about Greenpeace?
I can understand how you'd feel a little bit jaded, but I also understand why Greenpeace runs the way it runs, because for the most part, people are not like you. They need to be foot soldiers, and they want to be foot soldiers, and that's how they want to participate.
Well, you know, this leads me to one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, and I wanted to do the show on this, and it was the idea of cultism, okay? Because I've been thinking a lot about this. I was watching that terrible movie, Fanboys. Now, in case you're not aware of this movie, and you are a Star Wars fan, basically the whole premise is this one guy's dying. He's premature death, I guess, some kind of cancer. Who cares what it is, really? So him and his group of friends, and I guess it's 1999, decide they're going to break into Skywalker Ranch and steal Episode 1 so that he can see it before he dies, because apparently that's really important.
Yeah, and the release date's after he's predicted to die. So
after his expiry date, pretty much.
The interesting thing about the movie itself, not the plot of it, is it was an indie flick that got picked up, and Miramax raped it and destroyed it. Is the general gist of it, and it's just a horrible movie. So just watch out. I mean, I know the kind of person this movie is made for. There is a segment of the population that would like it. I have a couple of ex-girlfriends who would have pissed their pants throughout the whole thing. I just thought it was really tame because it's it's just tame.
The scenes with the Trekkies were probably the most painful scenes, in my opinion. It was just so poorly done.
Well, you watch
anybody that's a fan of science fiction in general watches this in general embarrassment, saying, "What the fuck, man? Why you got to spit in my face?"
Well, that's the biggest problem, is that it's supposed to be this fucking loving tribute to Star Wars fans, and let me tell you what, you watch that and you just feel kind of like they're making fun of Star Trek fans, and it's just it's not like, say, you want to watch a loving homage to fucking Star Wars. Watch the Robot Chicken Star Wars episode, and that is an homage to the 10th degree.
You gotta you gotta have a thing that has in jokes. Like the best moment I think of that Robot Chicken is when there's Luke Skywalker who's in Tashi Station, which is a strip joint, and they say, "And now the power converters." I'm like, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know exactly why that's funny, and if you don't, go watch the movie again, and then you'll get it, and then you will laugh.
But this one here, it was just too simple. Too simple. But what can you do?
So again, I was watching this, and I couldn't help but at least contemplate the nature of fandom, if you want. And I just thought to myself, where there is a human tendency to become fans of things. We were watching Ung Bak 2, and throughout the whole movie, there's this one guy. He's basically the champion warrior who's being trained and groomed and that kind of stuff. And you know that in our ancient tribes, you know that we always had the fucking champion that was being groomed, the head hunter or whatever, basically the chief's son, and who goes through trial, who proves his excellence, and then the people love him. And it's just it's a natural thing for us to want. We want champions. We have fandom fucking built right into us. I mean, what is Christianity other than the ultimate fandom to a dude named Jesus? Because if you examine their claim, the whole attraction of Christianity, they always make it very personal. We were watching that radio thing with Christopher Hitchens and what was the other guy? It was Wretched
Radio. Yeah, awesome video, by the way. Go to thegoodatheist.net and watch that. It is awesome.
It is fucking hilarious. So in the program, there's basically trying to grill Christopher Hitchens saying this specific line, which you'll hear all the time. Don't you think that it's so great that Jesus died for the knowing all the sins you would commit beforehand? And it makes it seem like it's really personal. Jesus did that just for me? Golly! And then you realize, it's spread about 4 billion people. It's a completely made-up story. It doesn't make any sense. It's a basic blood libel thing, which I find barbaric and disgusting. But we all understand kind of the beauty and the amazingness of sacrifice. We worship sacrifice in a way. We're like, look at this.
He died for us.
Yeah, it's like he was our champion. And they're always, of course, if that was where the Jesus story ends, which it should have ended, but of course you have the revelation, which is, well, he's coming back, everybody. He defeated death already. He is a champion, and he's going to make everything better coming up. He's the ultimate hype. He's the Duke Nukem 3D of religion, all right? This I assure you. He's like the 12th Imam. He's not coming, man. It's like the perfect story. I'll be back right there. It's like waiting for Godot. It's not happening. The dude is not showing up.
I like how you kept on rattling off some stuff. I was trying to think of anything, but you just kept on knocking
them back.
Bravo.
But I did think of it. Did make me think about cultism, and I do think that in anything that we do, that we pursue, we always find ways to basically have cultish-like devotion to objects, people, maybe even events. I mean, how many people have a cultish devotion to Woodstock? It was a one-time event thing. People still talking about it. That's cultism. And you just realize, holy shit, like, what else can we be cultish about? Oh, I don't know. There's about 1 billion Muslims that pray to a giant meteor rock that's carved like a square.
And I guarantee you we can be cultish about atheism as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at that super atheism video. Did you see this?
No, I did not see the super
shit. Now it seems almost like it's an ambush. Basically, it's this Russian guy who started a religion called super atheism. And super atheism basically... It has nothing to do with atheism, let me assure you. But it's this belief that aliens from the planet Atlantis around the Sirius star came down and made us, and combined their DNA with chimp DNA to make super sapiens, which is us.
Okay.
This religion is called super atheism.
I like it.
If you're feeling a little dejected and angry at the name, I suggest that you notify... nobody. Because what are we going to do, huh?
Well,
what are we going to do?
It's wacky enough. At first I was like, uh-oh, because it's kind of like the Church of Scientology. They already stole the word science from us.
Those fuckers. Such a cocksucking bastard to steal science.
I think that's what upsets me the most about the whole situation is that they do call it Scientology. I'm like, it has nothing to do with science.
There is nothing. Let me assure you there is nothing scientific
of course
about
it'd be
Scientology.
I mean, it's always terrible when good ideas, when somebody takes a good idea or the name of a good idea and then applies it to this perverted vision of how they think it runs. Like super atheism, if you ruined atheism, it would suck, obviously. But this is not going to happen.
Nowhere close to that bullshit.
This is complete.
He's not going to control the narrative. Let's just say that, unless he was to develop a cult following and they all kill themselves in some kind of thing, and then they're going to bring this up. It's just fucking inevitable. But until a tragedy happens, and let me assure you, the guy seems like a bit of a whack job. But he doesn't seem like he's not. He's not, crazy. He's not like. What's a good example? What's that Jonestown dude? James Jones or something.
Jim
like that.
Jones.
Jim Jones. Yeah, there you go. He's not Jim Jones level crazy yet. But give a man a lot of power and a plurality of wives, and who knows what he'll do.
Yeah, most of the cults start off, just it's like a sex thing.
I think that's when it sort of gets out of hand. As soon as you can fuck around, and you're allowed to do that with no consequences.
As soon as you've got that fan base where you're like the man and you can just sleep with anybody and they think it's a big deal. Yeah, at that point, it's officially become a cult.
I think that's a pretty good precursor. But, I mean, again, there are different variations on the word cult. Some elements... The word cult is not always negative. You could describe Star Wars as having a cult following. And just because the word following is there does not negate the word cult. It's just that we use the word to clarify between the negative version of cult, which is just simply cult, and the same attributes taken on less harmful ways in sort of fandom. But the two are not that far apart, I assure you. Plenty of people that are fans of Jesus. We've got lots of kitschy stuff that we love to fucking wear because of its ironic fucking value. That's like Jesus Patrol. I love my Jesus Patrol shirt, by the way. That was probably one of your best gifts.
Yeah, I figured you'd like it. It was to protect and serve. Jesus Patrol!
I don't know who you're serving, but I don't want any part of it.
I wonder if we could sell Jesus Patrol shirts, and if they tried to sue us, we'd be like, well, it's satire, and they'd say, it's exactly the same as ours. And I'm like, yep.
You know what? I don't want to mess around with those guys. They seem crazy to me.
And they probably have a lot more money than we do.
Okay, you want to talk movie? You want to talk that movie Salvation? You want to talk about that?
Which I thought this is the one with the angels.
Oh, Legion.
Yeah, Legion. I was
let's
like,
talk.
you're not even.
I'm sorry. I had a brain fart.
Mm.
Legion.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Legion. First of all, I was actually kind of worried at first because I thought they were going to really get, Hal Lindsey version of Apocalypse. That's the fucking Left Behind series. I was like, oh, please, no God.
Here's the whole deal with this movie. And let me tell you what, this movie looks awesome. I'm sure they will fuck it up, but it looks awesome. It's about angels come down from heaven to destroy humanity.
Yeah, apparently God is just finally pissed. He's the God of the Old Testament, which just is an all-around more interesting character, let's be honest.
And now one of the angels comes down and cuts off his wings and defies God, which I think...
He takes off his collar. That's such a powerful image.
Yeah.
Takes off his fucking collar on his neck. That's really fucking... That is so subversive. I love it.
Yeah, defies God to protect the pregnant chick who might have the next chosen whatever. At that point, it gets a little fuzzy, and I don't want to spoil it, and I don't know what the hell is going on past that. But that's the general plot of it.
It's basically the Terminator with angels.
Yeah, and this is a big budget film. Right at the beginning, they were showing a special effect that looked pretty cheap, and I was like, is this some weird kind of Japanese or Lithuanian movie? And then all of a sudden, the CG kicks in full blast.
It's because it was dark when the other CG came on. CG in the light is hard, man.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
CG humans moving around trying to look real. It's like always there's that uncanny valley where I don't buy it.
No.
I do not buy it. But anyways, at that point you're like, well, some of the CG's a little bit iffy, but it does look expensive, and you realize this is a big budget movie about God killing humanity and humanity fighting back. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
That's not a movie I could have seen 20 years ago.
This is an atheist. This is basic. Well, it's not an atheism movie because actually it's a redeemable, like, God exists. But I mean, when you think about what it's talking about God and how it's treating it, I mean, do you think any religious person would have made this movie?
Look, it's simple, man. I don't believe in Santa, but we can make all the movies about him. It's all good, man.
Mm-hmm.
As a creature of fiction, we can appreciate it. In fact, we should see it, satirize it, mess around with the concept. I want to see all kinds of stuff like that. Like the whole Golden Compass series was just about that. A different interpretation of God. Imagine gods did exist, but they're bad, and they're just powerful entities that you need to kill. And I'm just, wow, that's very subversive. But those are some really imaginative, incredible ideas that are described in really good prose. What the fuck is wrong with that? We need more.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this movie. I say we got to make a big deal about it. And as I said, I'm sure it's going to disappoint us, but just the concept is just
I'm
very
only going to throw my
enjoyable.
weight behind it after I see it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? The movie could have been cut by an atheist.
Oh,
at
yeah.
least the preview.
Yeah, at the end there's some kind of thing about, oh, God loves us all, and it turns out to be some misunderstanding, and at that point we're like, boo.
Boo. Yeah, that would be the ultimate cop-out.
It could go all I Am Legend on us. It's like, God loves you in this crazy post-apocalyptic world where everyone's dead. God is the answer.
I'm like, I don't even want his love anymore. Just get out of my life, man. Floods, fucking angels coming down, sword of the Lord. I need a break from you. Let's take it easy for a couple millennia.
This is the funny thing. I want to go back a little bit to that Christopher Hitchens talking to the DJ. This is the most interesting thing about that whole situation is that the DJ was trying to trick Hitchens into playing along and saying that Jesus was great. And it was that whole, imagine that God is real and Jesus is real and isn't that great? And he's like, no, it's horrific. And it is true when you think about all of what a horrifically scary place the world would be if God was 100% for sure real.
It would be pretty scary.
It would be, and then you realize you're going to hell, and a whole bunch of people are going to hell. I'm like, man, this is just a terrible world. And there's this dude, and all he cares about is you worshiping him. I'm like, what a crutch! What a huge crutch to existence. We've got a tyrannical fucking overlord.
Well, you know what? Remember when I keep saying this, and you're probably fucking sick and tired of hearing it, but I keep saying that for everything that you make, for every idea that you have that's good, there's always going to be a side that comes along with it that is just terribly bad, right? So you can have an idea that's good, for instance, that some of the elements of the New Testament incorporate the idea of charity, of salvation, of, so on and so forth. These are positive qualities, and I would say, at least in that regard, an improvement on the Old Testament, which is just a savage, ghastly affair that you don't really want to listen to ever in your life. Like, put the Old Testament down and burn it. Burn it. Well, maybe not burn it, but just get fucking rid of it. Put it somewhere in a museum, all right? It belongs in a museum. There you go. That's my fucking Indiana Jones moment. But the point of the whole point is that as positive as those things are, the birth of hell, that is the quality of the New Testament, is such a scary backdrop. Now you're just like, whoa, salvation, but now you have this concept of hell attached to it? Like, well, that's not cool. What happened to all those people born before Jesus came, who Jesus didn't die for their sins of? Oh, well, they're in hell. And you're just like, huh? That sounds kind of bad. Oh, well, okay.
Oh, wait, was it a retroactive thing? Did all those people go to hell?
They did go to hell. So the Vatican basically, I forget what year this is, but the Vatican basically said, oh, well, Jesus went back and he got all those early prophets that were born before him and brought them over to heaven. But they've been in hell for thousands of years. They didn't explain that one. They didn't want to make Jesus time travel, so they had to keep a continuity.
Man, why not? God can do anything. I mean, if Star Trek
they don't want to do time travel because of the
Trek...
paradox. I think they understood the problem of the paradox.
They've seen Back to the Future.
That would be a paradox if they did. But yeah, I would say that there's a big negative consequence to it, a fucking ball and chain that kind of Christianity brings forward. But it's more than that, obviously, because it's never as though Christians followed the New Testament only. I mean, let's get real. The Inquisition, that's mostly Old Testament jargon. The witch hunts, Old Testament, you shall not suffer a witch. Like, kill the witches. It's a pretty fucking obvious thing. They say it 3 times in the Bible in 3 different books.
Man.
Kill all witches. So, what are you supposed to do? Inevitably, there will be witches killed, and people saying, like, what should we do? Open the Old Testament. It says to kill them. Okay, well, you read the fucking manual. Kill all witches.
Yeah, but the Bible says kill everyone. Kill this person, kill that person.
Yeah, well, there also kill people who don't believe in the same thing you do. I will promise you that happened for a long time until people were like, I can't do this anymore. It's not practical.
I always find it funny when they do that whole gotcha thing with, the Quran says do violence against unbelievers. I'm like, man, it is right there in the Old Testament a lot.
It is really there a lot. And at least here's the redeeming / well, it's not a redeeming factor, but it's kind of like the greatest ambiguity of Islam is the fact that their ancient language of Arabic is very confusing. Like, you really can't translate it, but at the same time, I mean, they denote certain consonants or maybe vowels, I forget which one, with dots. That's why there's so many fucking dots. It's like you put a squiggly line and a dot above it, okay, that has a significance. That's a C or a D or whatever. But sometimes, like some of the ancient writings, it's not so clear which one of those letters. They sometimes shared it. It was not as codified as you would imagine, and therefore, it's like that whole Bible code thing. Imagine if you could just take a bunch of letters in the Bible and just change them completely. Change like 700 E's. Could you completely change the book? I mean, it's foreseeable that you could. It's also why there are so many different sects. Like they're in Islam, which, they have interpreted those vague passages in a specific way, and you didn't interpret it the same way, you are an infidel. Like, it happens within their own religion. It's just because the fucking shit is vague. Just read the King James Version. You'll be reading it, and you're like, what does this sentence mean? Okay, well, you'll have to look. You can look back and do a bit of research on what that sentence used to mean, but at the same time, that is a translation. From England on an old text that used to be a translation of an old Greek text. Hello? Like, do you think you're getting any of the original meaning here? It's obviously going to fucking be the telephone game times a million. Times a fucking million. So even nut jobs thinking that they should trust anything that this book says. I'm like, you have to understand that there is no consistency in the writing. Like, you just have to accept that.
Yeah, that would just be a very nice middle ground that you could say it. Everybody can agree. There's no way in hell this book is anywhere near accurate.
Now,
And-
unfortunately, 1 billion people disagree with you.
yeah.
That's the state of the affairs. 1 billion people thinks that is an unreasonable thing for you to say. Does that make sense to you?
only 1 billion?
There are billions. I guess they're 1.5 billion. Yeah, they're big.
Yeah,
They're
there's
big.
a lot.
But apart from those, there's also the Mormons. They also believe in the Bible. The last thing I want to actually say, I was seeing a commercial on our own site, fightlinker.com, for the Mormon Bible again, and they advertise the Mormon Bible as the Holy Bible, right? And I thought to myself, if I was a business, right, which I always view religions as a kind of business, but if I was a business and someone was using my brand and fucking had added in a whole bunch of other shit that didn't make any sense according to me, I'd be like, what the fuck, Mormon Church? Holy Bible? No, it isn't. You plagiarized our fucking book in the Book of Mormon, you plagiarizing fuck.
Yeah, I think
It's a book of plagiarism.
Well, yeah, isn't it all? You can't do any of that. Like we could, King James, all open source, everything like that. At this point, because of all the time that's passed.
The only religion that has any plagiarism sort of like suits is actually Scientology.
Yeah,
they sue people for for distributing stuff for free. It's a true religion, everyone. You just got to pay for it. You got to fucking pay for it. All right, I think that wraps up the show.